In the wake of Hurricane Beryl, Grenada faced widespread devastation. The images are raw because the reality is, Project Pristine is how we begin to recover, to restore dignity and reclaim our environment. But this is only the first step. For small island developing states, resilience is not a concept, it is a condition for survival. And unless climate finance reaches the ground in time and at scale, these frontline efforts will remain outpaced by accelerating crises. This is what adaptation looks like. This is what loss and damage feels like. And this is why action can no longer wait. What you're about to see is not just a cleanup. This is what frontline climate response in motion looks like. Messy, urgent, human. And unless finance flows where impact is felt, resilience will remain a promise, not a practice. It reflects what frontline implementation looks like in a world already breaching limits. We do not need more promises. We need practical finance solutions, and this is what delivery looks like.
One of the first thoughts that came to mind was, what has hit us? Was it a bomb? Because it looked like we were in a war zone. And looking at the amount of debris, the people that were in distress, the level of destruction that was caused.
The aftermath of Hurricane Beryl reinforced the urgent need for a more resilient, efficient, and sustainable waste management system.
At the various response levels, you have Tier 1, which is to get out and rescue human life. Tier 2 is to restore the sanitation sector to get the waste management back up and running. Disaster debris cannot be sent directly to a landfill, especially an engineered sanitary landfill. It'll be a shock to the system because it's not expecting that mix of contamination and materials to come into. We immediately realized that while we were able to establish that, not having the capability to process, we had to then seek to solve that problem. The ministry has made one of the largest investments in the last 20 years, to the tune of over $3.1 million.
GSWMA, in keeping with its mandate and fulsome support of our line minister, the Honorable Carriacou James, Minister of Climate Resilience, the Environment and Renewable Energy, and in collaboration with Cadwell Inc, fast-tracked the cleanup efforts in Carriacou and thereby set a new benchmark for waste management across Grenada.
Communication was critical in terms of getting the buy-in from members of the public, taking into consideration quite a lot of the limitations. We had to be quick, we had to be decisive to ensure that we had a system that is in place that would work in the best interest of this.
The scale and type of this machinery usually takes 6 months to a year outside of ordering for manufacturing and delivery. We were able to get some of them in record time. So one of the major things that we have identified at the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority is the synergy between our intended recycling program and disaster response requirements. We reached out to our partners GSWMA through Cadwell to be able to procure the LS3600 tracked shredder. That's one of the more recent innovations on GSWMA's side. It's the largest. There's only 7 of such in the world. And the requirement there is to reduce the volume of waste by as much as 50%. So then you would see, as part of the core machinery, a mobile baler. And that's to be able to get into the processing areas to be able to address the materials on site. So we fielded equipment that lends itself both to recycling. So where we have the metals recovery program and the baler, we have added mobility as a requirement for that. Even transfer fueling systems to make sure that we're able to stay on site at extended hours, where we have lights and generators as part of the contingent. Now, post cleanup of the playing fields, of course, need to bring it back into a safe operating environment. Behind me here, you'd see what's a large trommel screen, and the requirements for that machine would be to filter the soil to any metals or particulates within the soil. We screen the soil and then work with the other agencies and ministries to remediate the playing field.
We have to see these specific machines to be able to operate large island-wide, country-wide processing as an investment and not an expense. Because when we're able to be able to process these things absolutely quickly in large volumes, speed in this disaster relief and recovery is the most important factor here.
Now, just to set the scale, now looking at Carriacou and Harveyville and the mountains of material we have here, we still have a requirement to be able to at least cover a larger disaster, for example, main island Grenada. We can be barred from moving between sites, so if the land gets a direct hit, St. George's and St. Patrick's would be the most extremes where we look to establish major processing centers and then get machinery to those areas. So within that, we would essentially state we have at least half of that contingent.
We've introduced a more scientific approach into waste management at this point in time. And, so going forward, we expect that this would also help to build our capacity in addressing future natural disasters and events like Beryl. We trust that we are not going to be starting from point zero.
We want to ensure that solid waste can recover these costs. We want to ensure that they can now see waste not as waste as hurricane debris waste, but waste as a resource that they can use now to build their asset base and to ensure that they have their own monies as well to, as a statutory body, so that they can continue on with some of the efforts that we have been implementing for them.
We're looking at how we can get value from this waste, and as you can see, the shredding and the baling is adding value to some degree when you extract the iron and other important metals. So that's very important for us at this point in time.
What we're demonstrating and what we're proving here is the case of disaster response within waste management. And that's not just for us locally, that's regionally as a positive step. Grenada is one of the first to actually make that move, a deliberate investment towards such.